Where am I? What year is this? Who's the president? Sorry about that, just feeling a little overwhelmed thanks to the sudden influx of all these old school FPS games suddenly coming out of the woodwork. First there was Dusk, then there was a Medieval, and now I get to enjoy Ion Maiden. Well, the preview campaign of Ion Maiden at the very least. Now, for those of you out of the loop on this one, Ion Maiden is a brand new build engine game. That's right, the same engine that powered Duke Nukem 3D is powering Ion Maiden. Naturally, there's a few changes and tweaks to the engine here in order to bring it up to more modern standards and resolutions, but regardless, here we are in current year with a game like this, and I couldn't be happier. So what exactly are we dealing with here in the preview campaign of Ion Maiden? Well, for the most part, we're fending off a fairly apocalyptic cyborg invasion, and we're doing that in the shoes of one Shelley Bombshell Harrison. If the nickname Bombshell sounds familiar to you, that's because the protagonist here was star of a game called Bombshell, which originally was supposed to be a Duke Nukem game, but because of some lawsuit shenanigans, she became the protagonist, and this was originally meant to be a tie-in of sorts to that game, but things happened, things got tangled, and now here we are, and Shelley gets a full-on build engine game all of her own. But enough with the history lesson, we're here to talk about the preview campaign, and as far as first impressions go, this certainly begins with a fair amount of bombast. You've got trucks careening into GDF HQ, you've got crumbling buildings, you've got frenzied firefights in the streets versus these cyborg freaks, and best of all, you get to carry them out with ridiculous weaponry, the first of which being this overgrown revolver here, also known as the Loverboy. Just in case you were wondering, every shot fired from this thing is in fact a triple shot, so yeah, fair amount of punch. Another weapon that you'll get fairly well acquainted with early on here is the bowling bomb, which is pretty self-explanatory. It is a bomb that you can indeed bowl, and thankfully you don't have to be all that accurate about it either. As long as you're lobbing it in the general direction of an enemy, it will home in on them and explode them into a wonderful pile of mush. The next weapon you'll find will depend entirely on how savvy you are at secret hunting, and believe me, these levels are absolutely jam-packed with them. But if you head in the direction of the building that was collapsing when you entered the streets, you'll find you're actually able to climb the wreckage, head up to the top, and find yourself the Disperser shotgun. Now, the first thing you might think about the Disperser is, oh sweet, I found myself a grenade launcher. But no, this is indeed a shotgun. It just so happens that the cartridges are just absolutely gargantuan. Refreshingly, it also seems to be a shotgun that does a pretty decent job at range too. It's not something that becomes comically ineffectual after a relatively short distance. Rounding out the final slot in what's currently available, we also have the SMG. Not a lot of surprises with this one, it's a fairly dependable bullet spitter, but if there's one aspect of it that did catch me off guard, I'd say it would be the reload. And the reason for that is because the rate, the rhythm of reload, if you will, is a little harder to put my finger on than it is with something like the shotgun or the revolver. Both of those other weapons, for example, have 6 shots before you need to reload, and with the shotgun, it's visually obvious that you need to reload after 6 shots, what with the design of the barrel. But the SMG, you're more likely to fire that in a full-on or burst capacity, and it's really tricky to keep track of how many bullets you've actually expended, leading to a lot of awkward moments where you're in the middle of a firefight, and all of a sudden you're going to have to cycle through that reload animation, leading to you taking a few unfortunate unplanned hits. Maybe that's by design, but part of me would like to see some kind of bullet readout, maybe on the gun itself, or by the ammo counter on the HUD to actually give you a bit more of a visual sign of when that reload is coming up. So how about the levels that you get to play through here? Well, as I mentioned earlier, they're absolutely chock full of secrets, and they're also chock full of interactivity, and that was hands down one of my favorite things about playing the original Duke Nukem 3D. If there was a switch, it did something, be it simply turning the lights on and off or maybe blowing a hole in the wall nearby. As you can probably tell, the tradition is alive and well in Ion Maiden, and it extends beyond simple switch flipping, much like it did in Duke Nukem 3D. You've got all sorts of bits and pieces littering the level that can be destroyed or manipulated. I love the fact that the build engine allows for these chaotic feeling explosions that can almost reshape the level. And I know that last example is more of a scripted event, but all of these things together just really bring these levels to life. Now, all of this wonderful interactivity wouldn't really be worth jack shit if the levels themselves weren't actually well made and well constructed, and I can happily say that that is certainly the case. The way that these have been put together, especially this opening level here, is mind-bogglingly good to me. It's a construction that allows you to take a very non-linear path through these offices. For example, the holes in the wall that I blasted earlier, you don't have to do that. That's something you can completely miss the first time round if you're not in the mood for crawling through vents. Yet, you can still make your way all the way around to the office that gives you the keycard you need. Granted, you're gonna have to blast through a lot more enemies, but the thing is, the game makes concessions for that. Depending on what route you take, there will be a challenge to meet. Naturally, this style of level design also provides for a hefty amount of replayability. For example, in this section leading to the subway, you may be ambushed by several enemies on your first playthrough. But on your second, you may start discovering these alternate routes through the vent that not only allow you to stock up on extra armor, but will also allow you to find a flanking route around your enemies. No longer are you being ambushed, you're the one doing the ambushing, and I can't begin to tell you how satisfying that is. It's a level of player agency that just puts a great big grin on my face. Replayability here is gonna expand exponentially if you turn out to be the sort that's really obsessed with secret hunting too. At the end of each particular section, you'll actually get an on-screen prompt that tells you how many secrets you've currently missed, and if you're on your first few tries, that can frequently be as high as the double figures. As of making this video, I've only really just reached the point where I can push that number of undiscovered secrets below that double figure threshold. And trust me, some of these are gonna require you to be fairly eagle-eyed to spot, but once you get that itch, you won't stop looking. You'll start poking around in all those little nooks and crannies thinking, I wonder if that's a secret wall. I wonder if that switch does anything interesting. I wonder what happens if I push this office chair below this vent just to get a little bit of extra height, and all of these will lead you to a lot of surprising discoveries. The one that I found behind this train car down the tunnel was certainly, surprising. You can have that one for free. But the rest you're gonna have to find on your own. If you're good enough, you might even find the Red Room out of Twin Peaks somewhere. Yes, that is indeed a thing. So what can you expect to find once you've fought your way through the city streets and the subway? Well, you've got yourself a boss battle. A boss battle against what, you may ask? A big giant war mech, of course. Now, at first, I was expecting this to be a relatively straightforward fight. I took notice of a lot of the cover you see littered around here, and I thought it was going to be a simple case of, you know what, just dart behind this thing when it's blasting its cannons, and, you know, you'll be fine. Just keep chucking bowling bombs, keep peppering it with ammunition, and then it started comprehensively destroying all of the cover that I thought I could exploit, and that was neat. That was a nice surprise, something that switches up the flow of the boss battle itself and makes you go, oh crap, best get moving, best get out the goddamn way. So yeah, nice little challenge to cap off the end of the preview campaign. In terms of overall difficulty, I wouldn't say I found this especially difficult, even despite the fact that I was playing it on the hard difficulty. But then again, I didn't expect a preview campaign dealing with the first few levels of a game to comprehensively kick me to the curb. Also, talk about blue balls, it drops that great big honking cannon from the war mech, and if you're lucky, you'll get off 2 or 3 shots. I don't know if that's available as a secret during the course of the campaign so far, I haven't found it, but that's one of those little tastes. In fact, the entire thing is a taste of what to expect, and I want more. I want more. When's it out? Is it out now? No? Oh well. Yeah, I think it's safe to say I am really looking forward to seeing what the rest of Ion Maiden has to offer. If it manages to keep up this intensity of level design and action and secret hunting and just all-around badassery, I think we're gonna get along famously. Ion Maiden has certainly put its best foot forward with this preview campaign. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic, and although it's admittedly very short, very easy to burn through this in under half an hour if you're doing a straight run from start to finish, I think you'll find you'll keep coming back to this. You'll want to keep poking around all of those little corners and nooks and crannies for those aforementioned secrets and alternate routes. If you like what you've seen here and you're eager to get your hands on the preview campaign for yourself, you can do so by purchasing Ion Maiden over on Steam. It's currently in early access, and that will also grant you access to the full game once it's released. Big shout out to Jetstream Wade for helping me out with this copy of Ion Maiden. Massively appreciated, and while I'm at it, I'd like to say a great big thank you to all of my lovely patrons over on Patreon. There you are on screen right now, and if you're interested in helping to support the channel and help make more content like this possible, you can find the link to my Patreon in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought in the comments, and until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.